What's up, you guys? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 21 on my road to 700 pounds on bench press. I'm going to show you guys my pre-workout stack. This is a scoop of Rage and a scoop of Fury, not in that order. And I basically add these two together. One has a little bit more of a crazy effect, if you will, and one lasts a little bit longer through the workout. So for my 4-hour workouts, this is a perfect mixture. Screw that on. I take it right when I get to the gym. This is my inner workout drink. It's a half-gallon jug. First thing I normally do is a scoop of Carb Max. This has got some waxy maize. It's some good carbs that get me through a long workout. This is collagen, great for your skin, bones, and definitely your joints if you're having joint problems. This is really good stuff for it. This is also really good for women in general, just for their skin. And then a scoop of creatine. It's about 5 grams or so in here, quite a bit, but this helps keep some water retention in the muscles. 2 scoops here. This is a 1 serving of Animal Pack Multivitamin. I like to take this midday. I take 1 in the morning and then 1 obviously during my workout here. And take the morning one is 11 pills, and this one is just 2 scoops. Easy way to get my multivitamin in. And last thing I add here is my juiced aminos. Typically just do 1 scoop of this, and this is basically my BCAAs and things like that to get me through the long workout. Just a couple scoops here left, and that's about it. But I'm going to get on to day 1. I've got a top set today of 661. This will not be necessarily a personal record in the gym. I have done 675, but definitely working up to my last heavy single for next week, which will be a week before the meet. Starting off with the day, this is I'm doing everything in kilos just to get used to it. This Texas Power Bar is exactly the bar I'll be using at the meet, and this is 418 pounds. Solid, moving fast, feeling good. This workout was done on a Monday, typical bench day. Sorry about this video, it's a little bit laggy. I actually had the time lapse on, so I had to slow this down and edit it up for you guys, but this is 507 kilo plates there. This is one of my last single warm-ups here. I thought this was 583 or 584, I'm sorry, but I didn't have the collars on, so it brought it down to 573. I will adjust that next week. I would rather have a little bit bigger jump here and shorter ones when I get up top. But let's see how this 573 moves.
Big. Press! Yes!
Good solid pause. I am happy with that.
Yeah.
CNS is getting primed up for the day. My mind this whole day is actually pretty nervous. This is 628 on the bar. This will be my last heavy single. This was actually my opener last February 2018 at the Tiny Meeker IPA No Excuses meet, where I did 672 and almost topped out at 702. This is a redemption meet, most definitely. But I'm treating every single warm-up here, especially the heavy ones, very methodically, putting myself in meet situation to where I feel like this is do or die. If I don't make the lift, then it's over. So you can see that I'm really concentrating. You will literally see me do this exact same thing meet day. This is what we're training for. So I would lie to you if I didn't tell you I wasn't nervous before every one of these heavy attempts, but that is a good thing for me. I don't get nervous to the point to where I shut down. I actually harness it and get to the point to where it puts me in the right mental state physically as well. Let's see how this 628 moves. I got Justin Dubs here at Dubs Barbell Club giving me a lift off. He will be my lift off man at the meet, so we're getting ready for that. Nice. The way that it felt, it looked fine, but the way it felt, my left pec actually got a little bit, I don't want to use a term like strained, because it definitely was not strained, but it didn't feel good coming up. I felt like I was putting a lot of extra pressure on my left side. I don't see on the video what happened. Maybe it was something in my back that shifted. There's obviously no motion that you can see, but those are the little things that I want to adjust. I took literally 20 minutes between that last lift and this 661. This is my top set here. This is ironic because this literally looks exactly like the 672 did at the meet. except there's no collars. So adding the collars would obviously add that extra 11 pounds or so, 11 and a half pounds, I believe it is, like 5.5 pounds per collar for the kilo plates. But as you can see, I'm staring intently at this bar, and I said, nothing I haven't done before. And I'm talking to myself because that's just how I get in the zone. I don't get real amped up for a lift, as you guys have seen. I used to be able to do that, but ever since I've kind of broken through the 600 barrier, I've kind of learned that I'm not that type of lifter. There's anything wrong with it, but I'm very methodical. I'm very concentrated. I know that everything that I've done from week 1 all the way till now is setting me up for success. There's no reason I should miss the lift because of a strength issue. Technique, maybe. Not hitting the groove, sure. Something a little bit off here or there. You never have a perfect day all the time. But the last few weeks of a meet, I want everything to be as perfect as possible. If I don't miss, a lift, then I go into the meet perfect. If I do miss a lift, it doesn't make the meet any worse. It just means that I have to fix myself mentally. Getting a solid lift off here. Got some extra spots on the side. I do have the safety pin set up, so we're good. Got it. I did not think that was going to move that freaking fast. That is the fastest that I've ever moved any weight in a bench press above 600 pounds. I'm just stoked. So I am really, really happy. Of course, the nerves going into this built up, and then it hit the pinnacle right there. When I hit the lift, I did not expect it to go up. I really expected my left pec to give out and have to be, have that lift picked up off me. But those are things that go through my head. I'm sure just like any one of you guys, when any lift is a max, you really got to bring it. This is showing a front view, and you can really see I have a solid pause there. It may not be a competition pause, but I'm really not concerned with that because it doesn't affect me on meet day. I like to get within 20 to 30 pounds is ideal to be able to hit in a perfect sense with speed before meet day, because the last 9 days that I typically take is going to, pretty excited, the last 9 days is going to give me a lot of extra rest. I strip off all the accessories, everything like this, the speed bench and the weighted dips, all that stuff goes away. So I'm moving on. This is about 20 minutes later. I took a little while celebrating. I've got 3 sets of 2 on speed bench with 530. You'll see here, I just was not feeling it. I was gassed out. I felt my pec kind of being some, weird. I think I just got cold, and it just didn't matter that much for me to finish that speed rep. It's not detrimental. I made a smart call there. I put a lot into that 661. Even though it moved fast, it definitely takes a lot out of you physically. So I moved on, started working up. I got my top set here of weighted dips. This is 265. Supposed to do 5 reps. Shaking a little bit here. My CNS is definitely gassed out. So you'll see here I get 3 reps and basically started blacking out. Made a judgment call here as well. Went ahead and shut it down. Rather be smart. I'd rather do my 700 pound in a meet with some teeth. Showing you guys what I listen to. Varies from rock to rap to a little bit of country to metal to who knows. I don't know if necessarily have maybe a favorite, if you will. I do have a Spotify channel that I'm sure someday, if I get reminded enough, I'll share it with you guys. Going on my set 2 here of weighted dips. Really wanted to get 5 reps here just for the sake of being able to say I did it. This go around, this training cycle, my weighted dips, obviously, I've done upwards of 285, 300 in training cycles, but typically, to some degree, when my weighted dips go up, my bench press goes up. Now, I've never benched 661 that fast and then had to do 250 pound plus weighted dips. So, you take some, I'd rather do better on the bench than do better on the weighted dips. These are definitely a way to get some of that extra energy out of your system if you think you had a little bit left. Trying to get down as far as I can here. I'm definitely blacking out here, and that's it. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for 3. So instead of doing 2 sets of 5, did 2 sets of 3. Called it for more of a safety issue. Strength was definitely peaking out at that point. Got a little something different for today. Some seated rows, and I'm holding these for a 1-second contraction. Really getting a good squeeze. These are based on RPEs, RPE 6, 7, and 8. So I just went ahead and did 130 for the first set, went on to 150 for the second set, and 190 for the third set. These are actually not very heavy at all, especially the 190, but after the bench set, pretty much everything becomes heavy, already pre-fatigued. But as I've said before many times, I'll say it again, my accessory work is where the magic is. The 661 was not built by doing bench all the time. It was built by doing all of these accessories. This is working on my back, my traps, my shoulders. You'll see me obviously doing my triceps, my pecs, even my legs. My leg drive is given with that, and the core strength that I get from doing my legs with heavy squats, heavy deadlifts. Maybe not so much this training cycle, but just in the past has built up a huge core strength that I have been able to build, and that has allowed me to really stabilize the bar when I start twisting and torquing. You don't really see that effect on my body. I don't have to be a very huge guy, 400 plus pound guy to absorb 600 pounds worth of torque. But I'm sure if you did that to a guy that was 220 pounds, you definitely see them moving their feet a lot more, trying to control that bar if it gets out of the groove. Moving on, my pecs are definitely feeling it. This is one of my nemesis accessory movements. I really like it, but at this point in time, if I did it fresh, I would really love it. But because it's after bench, after weighted dips, my pecs are pretty much gone. So I'm definitely working some fatigue muscles here. These are the paused floor flies. 60 pounds is no joke if you do them right. Really trying to, the first set is really a pain in the ass because I can't get the range of motion that I really want and to really open up those pecs. You'll notice on the consecutive sets that I get a little bit more range of motion at the bottom. Of course, I'm not trying to touch the floor with the dumbbells. I mostly just get my triceps to touch and my elbows. It's just basically like a big bear hug. I don't touch the top and I don't touch the bottom, keeping the constant tension on the pecs, which is why this is a very effective exercise. But this is 2 sets of 15, so as you can see, this used to be 4 sets of 15 or 5 sets of 12 early on with lighter weight, obviously, but we're getting closer to the meet, so the accessory number of reps is decreased, or the number of reps and the number of sets is decreased. One way or the other, the total number of reps that I'm doing for any exercise in any given workout is decreasing as we get closer to the meet. That's what we call peaking. And so even though the weight gets heavier for like the 1 rep maxes, I'm definitely not doing 25 sets or 25 reps of 500 and then moving on to 3 sets of 8 with weighted dips, and then 100 sets of or 100 reps of rows back and forth. I'd be way too tired, and I wouldn't. It would go backwards. I would actually lose some momentum there because I wouldn't have enough time to recover before the next week. Moving on, I got some monastery extensions. These are a really good tricep exercise. This takes a little bit of pressure off the elbow, and obviously I'm wearing my sleeves on these. I don't want any kind of tendonitis to flare up at the last minute before the meet. This is done on RPEs, so I've got 4 sets of 12. Did 120 on the first set, 135 on the second, 150 on the third, and then I went back down to an RPE 8 on the last one, which is 135. Really holding a contraction here. I really like these, even though I'm tired. Triceps are just, like I've said before in numerous recaps, I can work those triceps to failure almost every day, and they will recover very fast. Now, I do feel my triceps very much the next day, and typically this same night I get cramps and things like that just from overwork. I wouldn't say necessarily overworking because we're doing a perfect amount of work for them, but I get right up to that line to where if I decided to work them more, or I put any pressure on the triceps or even the pecs, a few hours later after workout, my body's like, okay, no, it's done. We're shut down for the day. We've done enough work. And anything else after that, the body kind of reacts in a negative way, and it just doesn't want to do it. But that's going to wrap it up for the exercises of day 1. Got a little recap I want to give you guys on the way home, so listen up, and then I'll join you guys right after for day 2 recap.
What's up? So I'm leaving the gym, headed home. Stoked about today's workout. I had so many mixed feelings going into the workout. Obviously last week was a deload, and everything felt heavy, and it messes with your mind. When I did the 630 for 2 back on week 19, it felt good, and it felt like I was probably about a 670, max at that particular point in time. Obviously you don't know until you test it, but going in, to the deload week, I'm banged up, I'm sore. Everything was just grinding last week. My shoulders have been tight, and I'm having to really work on my mobility and stretching and ice heat, ibuprofen, massaging, and just trying. I mean, this is the part of the season though when everything does start to hurt, because we're getting so heavy and I'm so broken down and fatigued from all the weeks of training. This is a normal feeling, so it's nothing out of the ordinary, but it just sucks. I mean, there's nothing you can really do to make it that much better, if you will. You just kind of have to cope with it. But there's a difference between being in pain and being sore, and I don't know how to explain that really. You just have to know your body. But nothing that's really sharp. It's just dull pain. Sleeping at night can be a little bit uncomfortable. I'm shifting around trying to get a good comfortable spot. It hurts to lay on one shoulder or the other. I'm not a small guy either, so sometimes that's a little bit uncomfortable, just being big. But my mind is a huge tool in my lifting, and I have learned through many years of being an athlete of how to, I wouldn't say control my mind, because I think I do my best, but I think just to harness not going too far out in the left field. Sometimes you can let your mind sway a little bit. You start having doubts. You get too excited, you get too depressed, whatever. There's one extreme or the other. And I don't think either one are really good. Not when you're trying to keep a pattern, a routine. You don't want to have really high highs and then really low lows. So I try to stay pretty constant. And I'll kind of get to that in a minute, but going into today's workout, literally for the last 7 days, I've known what today's workout was going to be, and I had 7 days to prepare my body, my mind, physically, rest, eating the right foods, trying to gain a little bit of weight just so I have a little extra mental edge, because obviously gaining 5 pounds of body weight isn't muscle, so it doesn't matter. It's not going to increase my leverages, but it gives me a mental edge knowing that I'm maybe a few pounds heavier than I was when I attempted 630 for 2, and 661 is actually with kilos. Went ahead with 661. The programming called for 660 is what I would like to have as my opener, or close to at the meet, because I really would like to take 705 for a second attempt. Nothing set in stone until literally meet day. And I don't want to ever count my chickens before they hatch, so to speak. But I'd like to conserve energy, because if I do have more than 705, I'd love to take something on a third and higher. But I also don't want to be stupid about things and go high opener and not feel too good about it and take a second guess. It's a very methodical, thought out process going into the meet, but then also at the meet trying to figure out what you need to do. But that's just experience, working with a coach, having trust in the process. But going into today, I had my doubts, most definitely, and I had several times where I had to check myself, either on the high end where I was like, man, I am ready to do this like today. In fact, yesterday, I was like, man, or Saturday actually, I was thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go do this on Sunday. I think I'm ready now. And I had to keep myself in check, because there's no reason to change the program right at the last minute. You just keep the routine, and that's the best way to do it. Who knows, maybe I wouldn't have been ready yesterday. Just a little bit of extra rest matters. And so I also had the other extreme where I'm just like doubting myself on the way to the gym. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to put a song on to get myself pumped up, because I'm feeling like, man, what if I don't get it? What if I hurt myself? What if I tear a pec? I mean, all these doubts are coming in, and it's literally nonstop. But at the end of the day, I have to trust the process, and that's why you see me get so excited off the lift, because all that emotion and all that preparation, even for a training lift, is treated like a meet. Like I literally treated this workout as if it was the meet, knowing that everything was riding on this number, and if this number moves properly, then that means 7 can move at the meet. And so everything was riding on it. If it didn't go fast enough, I would have doubts for next week, and then it would just keep on going, and you'd have to adjust. And I don't like to make adjustments if I don't have to. But going back to keeping yourself in check. I wrote an article about having a balanced life in Power Magazine, and that's how I keep everything in check. I keep myself in check because lifting is not everything to me, and that's not to put anybody down that that's all they have, but lifting, I mean, like, I'm on my way home right now and I'm on high. Like, I am excited that my lifts went perfect today. I couldn't have asked for a better day, but it's short-lived because I know I got to start preparing for next week, and mentally I have to check the excitement and say, okay, well, that's cool, that's great, but now let's start worrying about next week. And part of that is checking out literally of the whole mindset of thinking about it for the rest of the day, and going back and spending time with the wife, spending time with the kids, having fun with them, and being a dad. And it balances me, it rounds me out, because I might talk about the lift a little bit with them, and I might say this is what I had today, but then it's like, hey, how was your day at school? How was your day at with your friends? What did you do? Let's go eat dinner. Let's have conversations about other things and live life. And then tomorrow I can get back online and start chatting about how the lift went today, and comment about things, and just kind of get back into maybe a lifting mindset. But I keep myself as balanced as I possibly can, because if I'm constantly thinking about the same thing, it either gets it gets really, really old, and it gets boring, it gets mundane. And yeah, it's exciting to do certain lifts in the gym, but at the end of the day, it's just a lift, it's just a number, and it doesn't make me who I am. It's cool to say that, I mean, hell yeah, it's cool to say you're X number in the world or whatever, or you're able to do something that nobody else has attempted or whatever. But it's so crazy how even after I did 672 last year, as soon as I got up and I went for the 702 attempt and that just didn't work out that day, I was still super excited about 672 because it was a PR, put me on the all-time list a notch higher. And driving back to the hotel that night, all I was thinking was, well, time to get back to the drawing board. Great, you got 672, you did this number, you put this up, be excited. But there's always room to grow. You never reach a point to where you couldn't get any better. And that's what's kind of almost, it's a little bit depressing actually, because you're kind of like, damn, I just did all this, but I could do better. But it's exciting at the same time. But without getting too far into that, that's a whole conversation. But just get back. I'm really excited going into the meet. I've decided to do kind of this candid video, if you will, because I know my voiceovers are a little bit rushed sometimes because I'm trying to keep up with the lifts and explain what's going on, and I can't really dig down into the mental aspect of what's going on in my head. But as you watch that 661, going into it, I thought the 628 moved a little slow, and I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to add 33 pounds and do 661 very smooth. But by getting my mind right, I literally took 20 minutes between the 628 attempt and the 661. Something happened in there where my mind just clicked, and everything just fell into place perfectly. The pause was good, the explosion was good, stayed in the groove, and relied on the trust of the technical process and knowing that my strength was there. It was either going to happen or it wasn't, and there's nothing other than what I already did would make that change. As long as I did everything perfect, it should happen. And by trusting that, that's why that happened as easy as it did. Now, had I overthought it or underthought it a little bit, or it would have been probably a whole different scenario. And that's sometimes just luck of the draw. I think you can do certain things to kind of adjust that or to prevent it, but sometimes you have a bad day, you don't feel it that day or whatever. I can tell you right now, I am super freaking sore. My shoulders are just on fire, my rotators are sore. I'm gonna ice probably all day today and tomorrow, the rest of the day and tomorrow. But I don't feel injured, that's for sure. I feel like, I get a good, and actually I'm going to take more than 7 days for the next attempt. I'll hit my next attempt, my last single before the meet, probably 9 days from now, and about 9 days from the meet, which is about right, because that'll be next Wednesday, and then the meet will be the following Saturday after that. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I really do. If you guys have any specific questions for me, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always on Instagram at SwimHack. I answer questions all day long over there. Really personal questions that dig into my psyche. And just I don't think too much into it myself, because I just do what I do kind of on autopilot. It's years of experience. But when I get asked questions, it allows me to open up into certain, go behind certain doors that I normally don't even think are there. When people ask me certain questions, I have to kind of dig down deep to get the answer. And it helps me to express myself a little bit better, and to communicate with different types of lifters across the world, where you're at, physically, where you're at mentally. And lifting really does translate to life. You don't have to be an athlete to be successful in life, or vice versa, but lifting can very much be an exact duplicate of what life is. You have your challenges, you have your tribulations, you have your highs, you have your lows, you have to prepare for stuff, you have to train. Technically, it's very much alike. And so that's the segue into life for me, is to keep everything balanced. I treat everything in life almost the same way, not necessarily as a competition, but very much wanting to be the best, wanting to put my best foot forward always. And yes, it can get very tiring, but I think at the end of the day, I sleep better at night knowing that I've done the best that I can do. So I feel like I would be cheating other areas of my life if I didn't treat exactly the same way that I do the gym. If I didn't go home and be the best dad that I can be, or the best husband that I can be, and give them the time that they need, and just treat them the way they need to be treated. I give a lot of time and effort to the gym, but if I can't do that same for my family, who does supports me in every way I possibly could want, then I'm doing a disservice to them. But it keeps me happy. If my family's not happy, I'm not going to be able to perform at the best of my ability. If I don't have my stress in my life in check, I'm not going to be able to perform. And so, not that performing in life or in lifting is my goal or my end all, but if something is broken down in any area of my life, it affects all the other areas. So since I'm obviously doing a recap regarding my lifting, I'm putting the emphasis on how it affects lifting, but I very much put a lot more emphasis on being a dad, being a great husband, than I could ever care about lifting. So if I can excel in those areas, then lifting is just gravy. It's just icing on the cake. And so that's what keeps me, I believe, grounded in a time where I'm very much on top of the world with what I'm doing lifting wise, and who knows where the end will be. But I always will have a family at home, and I always will have a wife, kids to go and to enjoy life with, regardless of where my lifting is, and that just keeps me well-rounded. But like I said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I don't know how many times I'll put this behind the video, but I figured just kind of driving home that maybe you guys would want to hear some insight on how everything feels and mentally going in, because I know a lot of you guys in your own workouts, it's not always a perfect day. Sometimes you think you're going to have a good day, you're excited, you go in and you bomb. And then sometimes you go in and you feel like crap. Literally, I did not feel good today. Everything felt off. Warm-ups fell off. They just didn't feel fast. Everything just felt strange. Sore. I couldn't seem, it was cold, in the gym. I couldn't seem to get warm. But everything happened just the way it needed to happen. So, appreciate you guys, and stay tuned for day 2.
All right, welcome to day 2. So this is done actually on Friday, so I gave myself an extra day of rest. Normally, as you guys have probably seen before, I do my Monday workout is heavy for day 1, and my day 2 is done on a Thursday. Because I'm doing my next heavy bench day the following Wednesday, which is 9 days away from the last 661. I gave myself an extra day of rest to hit these accessories. This is going to be the actual last day that I'm doing accessories for a day 2. The next day that I work out will be the last day I work out for the meet, so there won't be as many accessories. So starting off the day, I've got the rear delt pec deck fly, and that's 160 pounds. This is 3 sets of 12. These are obviously pretty easy, but I'm definitely not wanting to just kill the rear delts here. Moving on, I've got some shoulder raises. This is a lateral seated raise, and this is 110 pounds on here. Very, very easy for me. I'm showing 1 set. That was 3 sets of 12 that I did total. Moving on, I've got some lighter bench press. This is just to get a little more volume, mostly to get some blood flow into the muscles. I don't want to tax them out. 100-pound dumbbells is not a lot for me at all. It literally feels like a warm-up. So I've got 3 sets of 15. I went ahead and knocked out 35 reps here real quick. I started feeling a little bit more than I would like. I don't want to feel like I'm burning the muscle too much. So when I got to rep 35, I went ahead and shut it down and then just did a set of 15 afterwards. So I actually did more than I was supposed to. But I like higher reps. I just can't do them as much as I would like in meet prep. For obvious reasons, we're trying to peak. But knocking out 35 reps of that makes me feel good. You know, it gets me a little, gives me something to work for in an accessory day. Obviously, I'm not trying to tax anything. I'm not trying to do any kind of ego lifting or any stupid stuff. If that was the case, I'd go grab those 150s over there and do like 100 reps of them. But just knocking out a couple sets here and be done with it. Moving on, I'm actually going to just show you guys 1 set to keep the time of the video down. And these are the straight arm fully extended dumbbell pullovers that I'm so fond of. And this is 3 sets of 15 with 55 pounds. Actually, I believe that I took advantage of a 50-pounder because somebody had the 50-pound dumbbell or 55-pound dumbbell earlier. But these are great for stretching the pecs out. The shoulder impingement that I was having some not major issues with, but just bothersome. You know, if I had to be nitpicky, I don't feel 100%. I feel probably 99.999%. It's probably that shoulder that's giving me that 0.001 a little bit of trouble, but that's okay because I keep ice on it. I keep them, keep the inflammation down. This set once a week is enough to really kind of open up that shoulder a little bit and give me some of that lower pec stretch. Don't really feel, you don't want to feel this in your elbows or in your triceps too much. A little bit, but not, it shouldn't be the main mover. You really want your pecs to be stretching out and moving this. But good recovery set here. I did get a swim day in this week, very light, a couple of laps here and there just to get the shoulders warmed up and get some blood flow in there. It was actually done right after day 1. And moving on next set, I've got dumbbell paused tricep extensions. I've got 3 sets of 8, just showing you 1 here with the 60s. This actually gave me a little bit of a challenge this week. Doesn't look like it too much on video, but I was trying to keep my elbows as close as I could, but ended up kind of overcompensating a little bit, but it's okay because the triceps are plenty strong. This is definitely a good exercise to nail them. Thought I only had 1 on video. It looks like I have a couple here. Show you guys. Pausing right above the floor. Don't let them touch the floor. Constant tension on those tris and stretching out at the top. And so last set, I'll go ahead and start telling you, is the IYT dumbbell raise with 5 pounds. Showed you 1 set, and it's 3 sets of 12 though. Really good shoulder exercise. But I'm really excited. Talked to my coach, Josh Bryant, earlier in the week. We discussed meet strategy, openers. I won't let those quite out of the bag yet because I'm not real sure. We need to make sure next week goes perfect in order for the openers to be exactly what I want them to be. But if next week, which we'll have 683 pounds on the bar, for some reason that doesn't go off as well as we like, which I account for everything, we'll just adjust and go into the meet. And instead of maybe taking a 705 on a second attempt, it might be a third or possibly a fourth, or we'll just go in and see what we have. But very excited. So basically, leaving this week in a celebratory fashion. Extremely happy how the 661 moved. It's a PR for speed, most definitely. Just about a PR for in the 1 rep. But I'm excited, starting everything all back over again. I'm going to hit next Wednesday, so I've got about 5-day period here of just eating and relaxing and trying to stay stress-free and putting my mind around doing 683 pounds in a training lift before the meet. But I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Please, please, please like and subscribe. You can find me on Instagram at SwimHack, and I will see you guys on week 22. See ya.